Here's 7 techniques that's helped me close more deals and become a better salesperson. Number 1, being level-headed and remaining calm, all right? And just genuinely being nice. I see a lot of people get frustrated when a prospect or lead says no or shuts them down, and then they get demotivated, and that carries over to the next call whether they realize it or not. So it's super important that when you're making outbound calls that you're just level-headed, smile on your face, and just genuinely being nice, and don't care if they say yes or no, and you just being patient and understand that the right opportunity will come along. Number 2, matching and mirroring. Matching and mirroring is super important whether if you're in front of the person or over the phone. And here's what I mean by that. So let's say, for example, you've got somebody that's more smooth, mellow tone, right? And slow pace. Imagine if you're the person on the other end and you're like, okay, so this is Tein, I'm a local real estate agent, right? And you're literally spewing everything out quick versus when the other person is very slow pace. You're gonna wanna get down to their level. And then vice versa. If somebody's in a rush, right, and they're quick, you want to give that tone off that you respect their time and you're going to hurry up as well, right? And understanding the type of personalities that we're working with. There's all sorts of different personalities out there, and let's say you're dealing with a dominant person, then you know that you're going to have to be more assertive with them as well, right? And then let's say you're dealing with an analytical person, you know that you're going to want to show them the more numbers, more stats, right? And then just understanding the differences between people and being able to be fluid with what sales throws at you, right? You're never gonna have the perfect situation. You're never gonna have that, perfect client. It happens every now and then, but being a really good salesperson is to be able to pick up the energy that they're giving off, the tonality that they're giving off, and matching and mirroring and serving to their situation. It's your job as the salesperson to keep the person on a straight line, right? So let's say they're all over the place, right? And you're not gonna match and mirror that aspect, but you need to be able to bring them back to the topic, right? But you can go ahead and get a little sidetracked to go off of the conversation, build rapport and whatnot, right? This is a part of it, but you need to go back, bring them up to the straight line. When I teach my agents, I always tell them, look at it as a start to finish line, one straight line. And in sales, you're gonna have things that goes off track and then you bring them back on track, right? Even when you're under contract goes off track, you bring it back on track. That's part of you being a professional salesperson and understanding how to deal with all different personalities and emotions out there. Number 3, ARPing. Acknowledge, respond, pivot, all right? So as salespeople, we need to understand that majority of our business is gonna come from the no's. The yeses are phenomenal when they happen, but they're not as common, right? So we need to be able to turn those no's into future yeses. So here's some examples. Let's say, for example, you are cold calling and you're calling random homeowners, circle prospecting, right? And the homeowner says, no, I'm okay, I'm not interested in selling, right? You would first acknowledge them. Okay, no problem at all. I can completely respect the fact you have no intentions of selling right now, which is completely okay. But just out of curiosity, is that something you would ever consider to do in the future to maybe upgrade, downsize, relocate, right? If they say yes, great, collect the information, move on. But if they say no, then you're gonna go ahead and pivot and you're gonna go to the next question, which would essentially be something along the lines of, okay, no problem. If anything was to ever pop up, do you have a local real estate agent in the area you would work with, right? Yes or no. If they say yes, then it is what it is, move on. If they say no, then you're gonna go ahead and collect their information, right? But let's say, for example, you're dealing with a for sale by owner, and a for sale by owner tells you, no, I'm not interested, bring me a buyer, I don't wanna list. Hey, no problem at all. I can completely understand your frustration, right? And I can completely respect the fact that you're doing for sale by owner. You're acknowledging, right? And then now you're gonna respond. I don't think you're gonna have an issue at all getting this home sold on your own, but if for some odd reason, let's say 60 to 90 days go by, and if you ran into any issues getting the home sold on your own, at that point in time, would you consider interviewing agents at all? Right? And if they say yes to that, great, collect the information, move on. If they say no, then you're gonna go ahead and pivot to the next part of the script. All right, so I hope that makes sense for you. ARPing is super crucial. Number 4, listen, all right? A lot of people just ramble on and on and on and on. Sometimes you just need to listen. The real professionals out there that are in sales, they listen and then they acknowledge and pretty much respond, ARPing, right? Like I mentioned. But you also want to ask more questions, because if you ask the proper questions, you'll be able to actually help them better, but you'll have a better idea of exactly what's going on behind the curtains, right? I can't tell you how many times that for sale by owner have told me they would never use an agent, and me just listening and asking the right questions, and come to find out we're listed, right? Same thing with homeowners that originally told me, no, I would never, I'm not interested in selling, right? Next thing you know, 6 months later to a year, they're making a move because things pop up. I'm just listening, right? Hearing out their situation. So just listen. Silence is pure gold, right? Sometimes people get awkwarded out when you're in an appointment, you try to close and it's just silence, right? And the person that talks first loses. So you need to understand that silence is gold. You just be quiet, and when you ask a question or you propose something, you just sit there, be quiet, and let that person answer. Number 5, assumptive language, or maybe proposing language, right? And here's what I mean by that. You have to become a master at the closers, and a lot of the closers will have a proposal or assumption, right? So for example, let's do this. Why don't we do this? Let's go ahead and do this, right? Let's tentatively put down this, right? Well, why don't we do this? We'll put it down for this date, right? You have to control the conversation, and you have to control where it's gonna go to, right? The straight line, like I said, you're going from A to B. There's been cases that I've went on appointments with my agents, and then I'll see that nobody is leading the way, and you need to be the leader and close the deal and help out that consumer, because sometimes they're just confused with everything going on, right? So you need to lead the way, and you do that by using assumptive or proposing language. Number 6, gaining agreement. This is super powerful in any close, right? Is when you make a statement and then you're gonna go ahead and ask a question, which kind of leads them to agreeing with you, right? So for example, does that make sense? Do you see how that could work? Would you be opposed to that? Fair enough? Is that unreasonable? Right? So that's how you gain agreement. And that part right there is something that is gonna feel weird at first, but once you master it, it's gonna become natural. And really the statement where you can essentially ask the proper questions and making the statements to lead them to essentially gaining the agreement at the end, where you simply say, does that make sense? Is that fair enough? Right? So that is one of the main keys when it comes to closing. Number 7, removing the threat of saying yes. A lot of people are scared to say yes because they're worried about the consequences that comes after it, because they're of their past sales experience or friends and family past sales experience, right? So one of the ways that I remove the threat of saying yes to an appointment or in person is I simply say something along the lines of this: why don't we do this? At the end of the day, you're not going to do anything unless it made sense anyways. That removes the threat right there, because that lets them know they're going to be the decision maker anyways, right? Why don't I just come over real quick, share with you what we can do to help you get the home sold, and share with you some information, and from there you can decide what makes the most sense moving forward for you and your family. Fair enough? Right? So that's how you remove the threat on trying to set an appointment. There's plenty of other examples as well. But let's say you're trying to remove the threat of saying yes for your contracts, right? So trying to get the listing or even a buyer agreement signed, then you're going to simply put in something in there that makes it really fair and easy for them to be able to get out of it, right? So like the no handcuff listing agreement, easy exit agreement, whatever you want to call it, essentially giving the buyer or seller a way out if they're not happy with the service. So that removes the complete threat of saying yes. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, smash that like button, and please consider subscribing, because we do this for absolutely free. I know some of you freeloaders out there, you're not subscribed yet, so do me a favor, right? Because we do this for absolutely free. Please hit the subscribe button and support the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. And comment down below. Let me know if you have any questions or any feedback. And let me know if you start implementing this, how this affects your business, all right? Because it was a game changer for me, all right?